Arnold Palmer wasn't just a great golfer. He was the first golf superstar people felt like they knew. He won big, he played bold, but what made him different is how many people felt connected to him. So let's go straight to the receipts. If we want the best way to understand Palmer's place in golf, we've got to start with Jack Nicklaus. Because when Jack talks about Arnold, the first thing you hear is respect.
Arnold and I started back, first time I played with Arnold was 1958. We had a driving contest on the first hole, and I'd hit it over the first green and won the driving contest. But Arnold shot 63 that day or something, and Arnold when I won the driving contest, I'm quick to point that out. He was quick to point out that he shot 63 and beat me. So our competition started right there. And the next time we played together was 1962 at Phoenix. And Arnold, we played together in the last round. Arnold was way ahead in the tournament. And after we walked off the 17th green, and he walked over and put his arm around my shoulder, which he didn't have to do. It was very nice. And he said, you know, you can finish second here. Take your time, relax. You'll make birdie here, and you can do it, which was a really nice gesture. And of course, I've always said many times, I said, I've always had to fight Arnold's gallery, his army, but I never had to fight Arnold. Arnold was always a gentleman, a friend, a competitor, but that's what made us such great friends.
That's who Arnold Palmer was, a fierce competitor, but one that people liked being around. Now here's the thing that made Palmer bigger than his wins. He treated his fans like they mattered. Gary Player says Palmer would sign every autograph, not for show, but because he was genuinely a people person.
He's been a role model to a lot of pros as far as patience is concerned with people. I've seen pros sign autographs, throw the hat over their head, throw the piece of paper away, scribble their name. Arnold Palmer stood there and signed everyone. He was a people's man, like Phil Mickelson, a people's man. And it was wonderful to grow up and be alongside of him and along Jack Nicklaus, to see two different personalities. The one worrying about being punctual, the other one not punctual, the other one this. They both had like everybody else, their pros and their cons. And it was wonderful growing up with two people that were marvelous ambassadors, not only for golf, but marvelous ambassadors for this phenomenal country.
That's how you build a fan base that follows you like family. And that's where Arnie's army comes from. And it wasn't only fans. Players felt it too. Lee Trevino says he loved Palmer so much he struggled to focus on his own game when they were paired. He also describes Arnold like a father figure.
Arnie couldn't move me. I love Arnold so bad. I always played bad with Arnie because I was making sure, you okay? You need a Coke? A hot dog? I want to take care of Arnie. You know, Arnie's like a father figure to us. And he is. And I love this guy. And we just wonder, you know.
That's a crazy thing to admit on camera. And it tells you how much charisma Palmer had. And here's another angle people forget. Palmer didn't stop being Arnold Palmer when the trophy stopped. Tiger tells a story that shows what a supportive mentor Palmer was.
He was a friend. He was a friend. And a person that I would pick up the phone and call. Probably one of the fondest memories I have was at Napa. Yeah. I was in college, and Arnold invited me over for dinner. And Arnold picks up the tab, you know, and I'm not gonna say how I'm a college student, I'm gonna pick up my tab. Yeah. It's Arnold Palmer. Yeah. Well, I ended up my coach found out, and did you pick up the tab? No, Arnold did. Well, I reported into the NC2As. I'm declared ineligible. I have to write Arnold Palmer a check, $25 for my steak dinner. He has to cash the check, fax the copy back to NC2As, and then I was declared eligible to play in the All-American.
That's legacy. Not just what you did, but who you were to the next generation. Now, people remember Palmer as kind and warm, and he was. But he also had edge. Phil Mickelson tells this great story about Arnold being motivated to prove Ben Hogan wrong.
But I remember a story that Palmer used to tell me when we played one time. I'm not sure if he shared it at the dinner or not, but he really looked up to Ben Hogan. Like, that was a big thing for him. And he had an opportunity to play a practice round with him just prior to the 56 Masters, and he had just won a tournament Sunday. And he drove all night. He drove like 8 hours to get to Augusta to play a practice round with Ben Hogan, Dow Finsterwall, and I think I forget who the fourth was. And so they go out and play, and Arnold's tired. He hadn't slept, and he just won, and he's emotionally spent, and he kind of hit it everywhere. He kind of slapped it around, and he overheard as they finished the round and they're having lunch, and he goes to wash his hands or whatnot. He kind of hears Hogan say, "How did that kid get into this tournament?" And like that really got him upset. And he said, he never called me Arnie, he never called me Palmer, he always called me kid. He said, I never liked that. And he said that really spurred me on. Like I was determined to show him, and he went out and won that year. And it just gave him that like little edge, like I'm going to go show him, what I'm doing here. And that little comment that he overheard kind of spurred him on, and hearing me tell is not anything like hearing it from Arnold. Like that guy could really tell some stories, but I thought that was always an interesting take because he had that little extra motivation.
That's the fierce competitor underneath the charisma. A lot of all-time greats were famous inside the golf world, but Palmer was famous outside golf as well. Brant Snedeker points to something huge. Palmer helped carry the sport during a time when golf wasn't that big a deal.
What he meant to the game of golf in a time when golf wasn't that popular, the way he carried the sport was back for a long time, and how gracious he was, and the way he was able to connect with people on and off the golf course is pretty special.
And Darren Clark says it too. Palmer was a global superstar who transcended the sport and brought it to a wider audience.
Arnold was a global superstar. He transcended our sport, and he brought it to so many more people, like an interest in our sport because of Arnie and Arnie's army and the king and all that sort of stuff. So he'll be sadly missed.
And then there is the thread that keeps coming up. Palmer made people feel seen. Annika says she grew up following him from a distance, but later became friends. And she remembers how Arnold made people feel valued and loved telling stories.
Mr. Palmer, and obviously I grew up watching him on TV or reading about him in magazines, and I didn't know if I was ever going to meet him, but I was lucky to meet him, and it just struck up a wonderful friendship through the years. And I think it started maybe a little bit towards the end of my career when we had two of our kids born at Winnie Palmer Hospital, and just doing charity events in Orlando and doing some commercials for Callaway Golf, and just running into different charity events here. And it was obviously a neat experience, and he made us all feel so special. And listening to his stories, it never got old.
Matt Every describes him as a guy's guy, someone who oozed charisma and made everyone feel important.
The guy just oozes charisma, and he's a guy's guy. It was so fitting for me. Arnie was great. I knew he knew how special it was for me. I have all these pictures of him on the green during the presentation, and he was like enamored with my little boy running around, and my little boy's gonna have that forever. I'm gonna have that forever. I'm humbled, honored, everything to even have my name on his trophy is something I never would have dreamed of.
Compliments like these don't come around often. It's one thing to be remembered as a great golfer, but when almost everyone who crossed paths with you talks about the kind of person you were, that's real legacy. Even Patrick Reed says he's never seen anyone sign as many autographs as Arnold Palmer.
I've never seen someone generally go over and sign as many autographs as he does. He's a true people person. He definitely gives it to all the fans and all the followers.
So when players are asked about Arnold Palmer, the message is consistent. Yes, he was an all-time great, 7 majors, 62 PGA Tour wins. But the bigger legacy is what Rory McIlroy says. It was what he did for the game of golf, his charities, and how he treated people.
I think he's left the biggest legacy of any sports star over the past century, I guess. And what he's done for us, for the game of golf, for charity, for everything. He was such a generous man, so charismatic. Everyone loved him. And I was lucky enough to spend some time with him, and those are memories I'll have for the rest of my life.
That's why Palmer still gets talked about differently. Not just as a champion, As the guy who made golf feel like it belonged to everyone,